Oh, we're here.
Oh,
We're here really early. Sorry. Like
where's Joe?
we were just
Where
bored,
are you,
man.
Joe? You're late.
Joe, you're late,
You're
bud.
late this week,
Yeah.
not us.
No, it's not early at all. 6:27.
There's a new thing on the screen. This is top. You don't have to look at that screen.
I
This is
don't know.
top
I
fans.
followed your eyes.
This is
Yeah.
top fans.
That's interesting. That's new.
I don't know what that is.
Hmm.
That's new.
That's gonna be Joe.
You have to put Joe in there.
Top fan. I guess you can put someone in there. That's
Look
kind of
at
neat.
see what it says.
Be the first in the leaderboard by showing support.
Okay,
Try
so it's
sending
just a
live chat.
leaderboard for those nights we get a few people in there chatting.
Ah, yeah.
They can compete for number one. But there might not be three of them for
That's true.
second and third.
Well, we're like I said, we're here early. We were sitting around, we were waiting, and we decided we didn't want to wait any longer. So we got ready too early. We finished work early today, and so we had extra time. And
And I have to go play Dune, so
yeah, and
I have a tight schedule.
he's upset right now. He's sitting here just he was just chomping at the bits to go play Dune, and because he has a problem.
I almost have enough for the buggy. I need to get a bunch of aluminum. I could be doing that right now.
Oh man, he's doing this instead of that. You did get an award today, though.
I got an award apparently.
Yeah, he got an award, Top Gunner award. That could actually be that could work with Dune as well.
Yeah, in the late game.
Yeah, you could be a Top Gunner in there as well. All right. Anyways, yeah, we're here. Sorry we're here early. If you're not here, and Joe, sorry we got here early, but you'll join us closer to 7, or you'll see the pop up and go, fucking guys they're early. What the hell? But yeah, we're gonna talk about a few things today. We're gonna talk about the in Canada. So this might not pertain to some of you if you're watching, but in Canada, there's a little area up in northern Canada, or northern Ontario, I should say, called the Ring of Fire. It's basically there's a ton of minerals up there. There's like cobalt, cadmium. There's all kinds of stuff up there to the tune of billions of dollars of worth.
It's probably trillions.
Could be.
Really.
Could be trillions even, yeah. But it's a ton. I mean, it's a low estimate. I think is I think it was like 400 billion or something. Low estimate. Anyways, so they're actually
know from minimal looking around.
Yeah, basically,
from
yeah.
like poking around a little bit and looking at it from the sky.
But it looks like now they're. When I say some of the premiers in Canada are looking at
Ontario.
The Ontario Premier and the Alberta Premier, Danielle Smith, are looking at setting up some rail and infrastructure to that area. So it's the first steps towards mining it and getting it out of there. This is near and dear to my heart because I've got some investment up in there, so it'll be good for me. So yeah, we're going to talk about that and can see where we land on that. Also, we're going to talk about the Epstein no list. The no list. The no client list. No client list and a missing minute? They released, what is it, 10 hours of video or something?
It was something like that.
Yet there was a missing minute.
1 minute missing. Skips a minute.
It's a little weird. That's a little weird. I don't know. I didn't vet any of this, so I just know of it. Thanks to our friend Tyler.
All over Twitter now.
But
X.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that missing minute. What can be done in a minute?
A lot can be done in a minute.
I feel like a lot can be done, yeah.
I do a lot in a minute.
I feel like there can be a setup to something. I mean, and that missing minute, when was it? Like what happened? Like what happened just before the minute and what happened after the minute?
Someone went past the camera. That's what happened.
Trouble.
Someone going in and out, or one or the other.
That's yeah.
In and out, maybe.
A new conspiracy theory on top of the conspiracy theory. But the whole no list thing is a little weird. So I don't know. There was
After
a list.
They said there was.
Yeah, there's a list forever, and suddenly there's no list, and now all the left media are like, oh, the right wing conspiracy nuts, or there's no list. So I don't know. We'll talk about it. I'm not sure where we're gonna land on that one, but we'll see. Also, we're gonna talk about the essentially the attack on gambling, thanks to this new big beautiful bill.
A little last minute provision they threw in there.
Yep, a little something in there. I'm not sure why or what the aim of this is.
That comes from, yeah.
Because it's like it's gonna really, honestly, it's gonna crush American gambling, especially poker players. Because who's gonna we'll explain it, but give you a little gist of it. But who's going to accept 10% loss? Like it's basically like an unrealized. It's almost
if you make $1 million on $1 million in losses, so like
Well,
say you're a poker player, you have $1 million and you're only playing tournaments,
Yeah.
and you have $1 million in buy-ins, and you have $1 million in cashes. You can write off the losses against the earnings,
100%
or the winnings,
to 100%,
so
yeah.
you're even. You're not paying any taxes, but now you can only write off 90%.
So you're gonna pay
So
taxes on the 100,000 that you didn't make.
That you didn't make.
That'll
So it
crush
doesn't
everyone.
really fuck with low stakes players, and it doesn't fuck with
No.
cash players as much because you know how people handle cash. But
Sure. Tournament winnings.
the big tournament players, the big guys, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. You might owe tens of thousands, maybe in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes on a year that you lost money.
I don't understand the idea behind it, but it's a thing. So we're gonna talk about it, and also we're gonna talk about. I don't know. This one's kind of funny to me. Illegal immigrants being thrown from planes, potentially.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, I should say. I said potentially. Allegedly. This kind of stuff is weird, but yeah, we're gonna talk about that, and yeah, I don't know. We were gonna delve into some other stuff. I mean, we might go a little longer than normal because we started earlier, or we might go a little shorter. Who knows? We don't know where we're gonna land. But if you are watching the podcast and you're not yet a subscriber, do subscribe. It's the best way to help the channel grow. We got a couple subscribers this week, which is nice because we weren't sure if the channel was getting axed a little bit. So a couple new subscribers tells me potentially different. But yeah, that's obviously the best way to support the channel, and like and comment on our content. That's another way to do it. Sharing, sharing is caring. So let's do that. But and watch the live broadcast. Sorry that we're early today. We're usually like very good. 7:00 Eastern. We're here, but we're just early today because, like I said, Tyler has a problem with Dune. Shameless plug for Dune. See if you can get some free shit from Dune, from the makers of that. But okay, let's just get into the first thing here and talk about this. Let me plop this. Here we go. So if you know what the Ring of Fire is, then I don't have to explain it to you. But if you don't, it is a portion of Northern Ontario, Canada, for anyone not from Canada, that is rich in minerals and all kinds of stuff. It's just very rich in resources up there. But it's been a problem to get it out. They just there's a native issue up there. And then,
there's that. You can't grow stuff out there.
Yeah.
So that's why originally there's no like settlements there. There's no cities or anything really,
Yeah.
because you can't.
It's James Bay. It's up in the James Bay area. But the real issue is
shield.
that they're blockades. They set up blockades, and they're actually talking about doing another blockade, which is just crazy.
Yeah, now that's the problem.
Yeah.
Because now that we could have a city there and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's like originally when everyone's coming over there, there was no settlers there because you couldn't live there really.
Yeah.
It'd be very hard. Now you obviously could, but then politics gets in the way.
Exactly. I'm not going to read this article because it's CTV and it's our garbage news thing, but I'm just going to give you the gist of the article. Basically, what they're looking at doing is they're looking at setting up infrastructure, meaning like railroad and transportation to that region, which is obviously the first steps in making sure that they can actually get some mining going and whatnot. But as I said, there is some unrest up there from the native community, and they're doing blockades. They've been doing this for a little while, but I mean, this is good. This is good cooperation, showing that two premiers are going to work towards making this happen. I think the real thing to make this happen would be if they gave them some kind of guarantee. Essentially, you said to the native population up there, "Look, we're gonna mine this, but we're gonna give you a good amount of it. Like we're gonna whatever these when they do these land lease permissions with natives and it's usually natives, but it's Aboriginal landowners. Essentially, they'll do a land lease deal with them where they say, okay, whatever we make off of using this land or utilizing this land, we give a certain whatever percentage or whatever they give back, or however they figure out the numbers. I think that could be the way to do it. If there is what we think up there, if there is, low estimates of like 400 to 500 billion worth of resources and minerals and such, it would seem that you could make a pretty good deal with them to
I don't. They've already been given too much, and it's not really working out for them. So maybe a different approach is better.
Well, what would be the approach then?
I don't tell them to fuck off. Shut the fuck up.
Listen,
You're in the road. Okay, we're gonna arrest you now. That's what I think.
Well, there's a middle ground, I think, but
Okay,
I'm of the idea.
hire them.
Yeah. Well,
They can. Their companies. Can
that's
get
another
first-
good way.
first-
Actually,
first bids on some of these contracts.
that's a better way to go about it, I think, than give them the ability to make money off of it that way, right?
Yeah, build it.
I think we've talked about this before on the podcast, where I think that because Canada is so rich with minerals and energy and all this, that we can just give.
We would be the richest country in the world.
What's up, Robert? There he is, buddy.
We could have probably. Now he's number one. This is
Yeah, look at that, number one. We got
that's
this new.
not Streamlabs though, so they're not going to see that.
Oh, probably not. We got
But-
this new top fans thing on Streamlabs. I don't know.
By
see
commenting,
it.
you get ranked. So,
Yeah.
So if you comment the most, I guess I don't know if it's character based or if it's maybe test that out. Just type a bunch of
Yeah,
characters
just-
and compete. But if Canada actually utilized those resources, we probably could have a robust, almost UBI system.
Yeah.
Just for everybody that set a minimum standard of living for Canadians that was well off relative to the rest of the world.
Yeah. I think even better,
That's possible to do. I don't know that that's the right thing to do.
maybe not, but even outside of that, instead of having Canadians pay for our pension plan, just put that towards the pension plan. You know what I mean? So everybody has a pension paid for them.
Yeah, now you don't pay any taxes because we're making so much money selling all this stuff to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's zero taxes in Canada. There's zero taxes, and I don't know. They need to fix the healthcare system.
Well, yeah,
And
for
I
sure.
think making it private is the way to do that.
Well, you can have a 2-tier system, right? But yeah, the point is we have such a rich country in resources that we could easily pay
So
for
much
so many
space.
different things, and a lot of it's in areas that people don't potentially really want to live in anyway. So you just go up there.
Realistically, we could build nuclear reactors, a bunch of them, in the Canadian Shield and even up north, in areas where even if the worst case scenario happened and there was a horrible meltdown,
Yeah.
that would wipe a city off the map or more, it wouldn't matter. Nothing, hardly anything lives there anyway.
Well, it would matter to the people that had to live up there to work it, but
Well, no, you don't
other
build
than
a
them,
they're not living there.
well,
Why would you build a city?
no, but
on
you
a nuclear
but
reactor?
you got to live fairly close if you're going to work.
No,
there.
you train people in.
I mean, that's
You build them out in the middle of nowhere, and you train people in.
how far do you train them in, though?
How far do you want to go? It doesn't take. That's not that long. An hour by train. Is,
I guess maybe
is how
do a
far you
bullet
get
trains.
in an hour
Do-
by train.
do
Not
the
even
bullet-
with a bullet train.
do those bullet trains. Geez, you could be
The
300 miles
meltdown
away.
radius isn't that big. Chernobyl's not that huge when you think about it.
Yeah. Well, also the idea of meltdowns is kind of it's a weird.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen.
And even when it does
very
happen,
often.
Chernobyl is very overblown.
Yeah,
It's green.
and then
There's a lot of life there.
what was that 30 Mile Island? What's the one that just happened
in
in
Fukushima?
09, Fukushima? Yeah. So, but yeah, they do happen. But I mean, realistically, the
They
most
don't happen on the new reactors. It was all old reactors.
Yeah.
Chernobyl was run by communists. So
Yeah.
and that was actually the problem when you look into kind of some of the there was very horrible mismanagement that led to it. You can literally just say it was communism that did it.
Yeah, for sure. But this is good. I mean, for Canada, this is good news. I mean, it's good news for me personally because I have some stake up in there. But it's good news for anybody else that has some stake in it as well. But I think this is Canada, so I'm not sure what they're going to do. Like, I'm not sure if they'll do the right thing anyway. If they do get up in there and they're able to set up some infrastructure and actually mine all these resources, if they're going to do anything good with it, or if they're just going to do what Canada does. I don't know, because the only good province it seems right now in Canada is Alberta, and the whole country's rich in resources. So, but I think it's a good step, or a step in the right direction anyway. So we'll just have to see how it goes, I guess. I almost hit end stream. That'd be fun. All right, let's let's move on to the next thing. Move on to the Epstein list. Where the hell is Robert? Where the hell's Joe right now? Robert beat Joe. You're happy that we're early though, Robert. You're like, hey, shit, I can go to bed earlier. I told you what time it is when he comes on. It's usually 1 a.m, so we do appreciate your support. You probably missed. I said we got a couple of new subscribers this week, so I'm thinking maybe the channel isn't dead. So we'll have to see. We're gonna keep it on life support for a little bit and see if it carries on. If it doesn't, well then fuck it. Let's start a new channel. All right, let's do the next thing here. So the Epstein list is non-existent.
Apparently.
I don't know what to think. There he is. There's Joe. Tyler. That's why so early. Anyways, so this Epstein list is sort of debunked, but I don't know if I believe it. And
it's debunked. It's not debunked.
Well, whatever. You know what I mean. There's a missing minute. A missing minute. What's this all about? Wait a damn minute. Oh, there. Now you're crown number 1. Oh, you guys are fighting over number 1.
So they do see the crowns.
That's funny.
Where do you see the crowns? You don't see them on the YouTube app.
Well,
or maybe on the desktop one, or
I don't know.
Or is he watching on Streamlabs?
I'm not sure.
I don't know how this works.
I don't know. We got to figure out how this works.
I just see crowns.
I see crowns everywhere. You're having a stroke. Anyways, yeah. So listen, the Epstein thing is weird. I don't even want to read this shit. This is CNN. I'm not reading this. But basically, it's saying that DOJ and the FBI have said there is no client list. After 5 years or whatever it's been, 5-6 years now of saying there was a client list.
Well, more so than that, Pam Bondi has said multiple times that she has it. And she's looking through it.
True. I don't know what's going on. What do you think's going on?
They're covering it up.
Yeah.
Pushing it away.
Think this has anything to do with what Elon said
about it? I don't know.
That would be nuts.
I don't think that
watching on PC.
I think that if Trump had done anything, we would know about it clear as day. It would have come out under the Biden administration. It would have come out in the election. Like somewhere, somebody would have got something. Like they're grasping at straws. Like they're making stuff up to go after him. If there was any truth in there, then it would have come out.
Yeah.
But there's a chance that there's just too much implication that's like too jarring for society.
Sorry, this is hilarious that they're fighting over the crowns. If anybody's watching the video after the fact, in our comment section, I don't know if these top fans things. We got to fight over number 1 and number 2. The only 2. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. Like I've said it before. What if? Here, I'm gonna go full tin hat at this point. What if they kind of got to Trump? What if the whole attempt on him, they got to him and they said, hey, look, listen, we'll let you do things or whatever, but you got to play ball with us. And we have this or we have that, but you got to play ball. If you don't play ball with us, then, we're going to either end you or, end you one way or the other, literally or, whatever, professionally or whatever you want to say. I mean, it feels weird to me. This just feels weird that it's his administration saying a thing and then now his administration saying, no, there's not a thing anymore.
I don't think it's anything like that. I think it's just the files are too Either what Robert just said, they're too valuable to certain individuals, or certain individuals are implicated that can't that it would like it could. There's a very possible situation where certain individuals implicated in those files being revealed is a threat to national security,
Yeah.
or how they got, or the information that they have on certain people implicates
Clintons.
or what's the word, exposes like some of the things that they have.
I think that's probably a good hypothesis. I think there's probably a lot of people on that list that can't be exposed right now. Yeah. So it's like, one
Or
of them.
it gets into like its intelligence.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're complicit in some of the things that were happening. They were doing it for a reason, to implicate people, and they have implicated certain people, certain powerful people.
Right.
And yeah, one, putting that out there would take away any influence that they maybe have over those individuals, which they need, or it also is just a straight up threat to national security to expose some of the intelligence information that they do have on these people, or maybe there are spies involved, maybe they have people implicated who are involved with certain nations who are providing valuable information about certain things, like actively providing valuable information about things that are happening in the kind of secret compartments of foreign governments, whether it's like Russia, China, or wherever.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. Good question there, Joe, about Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah, what's she being? Who did she human traffic? Exactly. That's a good question. I think they might be looking back to, bringing girls to Epstein or something like that.
Well, the question isn't who did she traffic, because there were victims in that case. The question is, who did she traffic them for or to?
Yeah.
I mean, who was buying them, which they did not give any indication for.
It's a weird thing. It's like, okay, so it'd be like, oh, we're getting you for selling rugs. I don't think you're allowed to say the real word on here. But we don't know who you sold them to.
Yeah.
It's like there was no
no evidence that you'd sold them.
Yeah, there was no full transaction of any sort. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, but we know that you were selling them.
Yeah.
But who bought them?
I don't know.
Nobody. I don't know. Then I guess you didn't sell them. I don't know. It's so crazy. That just tells me that there's obviously more cover up going on. You make a good point, Robert, about them being too valuable. But I don't know. I still think there is a chance. There's a chance that maybe Trump's compromised to some degree. That, I think there is I don't have any evidence to back this up other than conjecture and other people saying different things. Like, I forget, it was like the Bilderberg meeting or something where they say they bring in presidents and talk to them and say, you're going to be the president. Essentially, we're going to basically put you in allegedly, right? And this is essentially what you're going to do. Maybe the same type of thing happened with Trump, where they said, look, nobody's above, nobody can get away. Like, we'll get you, and Trump said, okay, like, whatever, because it kind of, like, for me, it adds that whole element of, why isn't he chasing who shot at him? Like, why isn't he chasing any of that? That just went away as fast as, like, oh, just a neat little bow. Some random kid just went up there and tried to do something. And then a second, pseudo attempt on him later. And it's like, nobody's chasing that down.
We don't know anything about that.
Yeah. It's like nothing's chased down at all. It's just
Even
weird.
Though, there's everything was wrong with that situation.
Yep. Like, so that's why it leads me to believe that maybe they got to him. And, I like what Trump's doing. I like a lot of the things that he's doing. This big, beautiful bill is a little bit sketchy, but, I understand when you're trying to get some other things done, you got to appease some of the turds that try and jump on, right? And they're going to say they want this, they want that. So you got to add these little bullshit things into there and, that's the only way they can get it done. But that kind of will bring us into our next thing. I'll segue into that as I end this clip anyway. But kind of will bring us into our next topic. Anyway, look at the fight for number 1 and 2 here. Looks like Joe, you lost, buddy. You were late. You were late. Yep. Sorry, buddy. Robert's number 1 today. And you didn't tell us where you were from. Like usually he says what town he's from. So didn't say any of that today. So you were so concerned with 1 and 2 there. Perhaps Trump will pounce once he's wrung all-time dependent advantages out of the files. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's been weird. The whole thing's been weird with like, you know, they were going to reveal all the Kennedy stuff and they really didn't. Are they going to now? Like, I don't even know if they're going to. Like, I don't know if the CIA came down and said, look, you're not going to do that. You're not going to release this shit because
the thing with the Kennedy stuff is I think they released enough that it's out there.
Yeah. But it's like, it's nothing definitive. It's like, you used to...
No, there's a lot of implications that weren't there before, but they were kind of there before in the conspiracy circles.
Right.
Like they knew certain things that aren't necessarily a surprise, but now they know for sure.
Like 10 years of being earlier on time, and this is the treatment I get. The AI hates you, buddy. We had no control of this. This is new to us, too. This is kind of cool. I like these things. Maybe it'll get other people to fight for the top. He's a number 2. We know full well from where he hails. Oh, this is good. It's getting spicy. We got an expatriate Canadian from Africa hacking on an American. Let's go. Watch out, he's got guns. I said the G word. Damn it. You're not supposed to say those words. All right. Let's get on the next thing here. Plop this up. What is this? Video going on here. I don't even know.
Also to uphold, just like all nations, does the state of Israel?
No, that's bullshit. All right. Anyways, okay, here we go. So there's a new attack on gamblers in the big beautiful bill, which to poker players and sports bettors and that, not so big and not so beautiful. If you don't know what this is, basically, we'll give you the gist. I'm not going to read this article here. This is independent, and it's going to be garbage.
Have the right to exist.
Just like the independent nations, and stop auto-playing videos for me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this video here. This is Phil Galfond. If you don't know who he is, he's a poker player. He's a professional poker player. He's been around for quite a while. He's probably a middle-of-the-pack type player. He's not one of the best, but he's good. He's a very good player. This is him summing up this gambling provision, we'll say, in the big, beautiful bill.
All right, this is really bad for gamblers. So the Senate amended the big, beautiful bill to come after us with taxes. So here's how it works. You can only deduct 90% of your losses during the year from your wins. If you're a professional, losses also would include deductions like home office expenses and so on and so forth, travel. The way this works in practice is, let's say that you finished the year as a gambler, professional or otherwise, and you broke even. You, in several sessions, won $100,000 and you lost $100,000 if you add up all the sessions that you played. You broke even, you came out with $0. You would get taxed on $100,000 minus 90% of $100,000, which is $90,000, meaning you would get taxed as if you made $10K that year. Now, for professional gamblers, very often, if you won $100,000, you might have actually won 2.1 million and lost 2 million. And in that case, you only get to deduct 1.8 million, which is 90% of 2 million, from your 2.1 million in wins, meaning that even though you made only $100,000 that year, you would get taxed as if you made $300,000. This is really bad. It is so hard for me to fit anything into 90 seconds.
So
that's it, basically.
That's about as good of sum up as you're going to get. Very simply sum up. That's how it works. So imagine if you were working somewhere and they said, okay, so if you work different places, a lot of times you'll get, they'll give you money in a taxable benefit that goes into like your RSPs in Canada or your 401k in the States or whatever, right? So you got investment You got money that's going into your investment income. Now imagine they do that and you get taxed on that money right away, but you're also not allowed to touch it because it goes until it gets vested, which means until it's yours, until it's been in your possession essentially long enough that it becomes vested for you. You can't touch it anyway. So you got this money. Let's say let's for easy numbers, they give you $100,000 in in this type of benefit, and you have to pay taxes immediately on it. That can crush you. So it's the same thing for these guys. These guys are the only reason in his scenario there, you make 2.1 million, but you lost 2 million in the process of making that. To the government, it shouldn't matter at all what the loss versus the win. It should just the amount that you were able to get from that, because it might cost me a certain amount of money, which if you run a business, it does cost you a certain amount of money to make a certain amount of money. So I shouldn't have to pay on some of what it costs me to make that money. This is so stupid. I don't know how this is even getting past anything, because it's a clear attack, but for what reason? I don't know. And you'll get people will talk about they don't care, because it's gambling, right? But what's that? That's quite a balls up for the casinos. Oh, look at that, Joe. No, you don't care either. Honestly, couldn't care less about the gambling thing. Vegas is a cesspool thing. It's not that though. It's not Vegas. It's not.
But this is the argument, right? Like, this is the whole crux of why I want to bring this up. It's listening to them talk about it on Timcast, it seems like some of the more conservative people just take the stance of, well, I don't like gambling, so I don't care. But don't you value freedom? Like, so do we just make everything you don't like illegal?
Right.
It's like, are things inherently bad, or are they inherently good? Like, I don't think gambling's inherently bad. Just like I don't think drugs are inherently bad, but I think they can be. But I think you should have the freedom to engage with that as you want, right? Like, if you can even say it's a good thing. Like, if we go to the casino and we have like $100, we're like, all right, we're gonna have fun with this $100. We win some, we lose some, we walk away with nothing. But we had a night,
right?
That's a good thing, I think.
Yeah, and
it's just like drugs. If like we have a couple drinks and we enjoy ourselves, that's a good thing.
There's another element that's missing that's being missed in this too. It creates other income. Like, it creates there's other things that are happening because of that, right?
$600 some odd billion industry,
right? And then I can understand if the bill said, okay, you can only write gambling losses against gambling or gambling wins against gambling losses, but you can't.
Maybe you're not allowed to write your travel.
Right, you can't write off travel. You can't any of this kind of stuff. That's on you. Or like writing off, like I've done this for years, where I've had a side business, and I've worked a job, and I'm writing off income from the job because of losses from the business. Now I can understand that too. So basically they say, look, you can never go below zero on your gambling business. So you can't write off like your home as an office, like expenses like that. It's too bad. If that's the vocation that you chose, well, you're going to take some losses or be better at it, but the idea that you're paying on unrealized, like it's non-existent gains.
It's not real
money.
Exactly.
It doesn't, it's meant to kill
tax
it.
your actual earnings.
Yeah.
But it's like taxing. It's like having a wealth tax.
Right.
To tax Jeff Bezos just because he's worth a certain amount and not because he made a certain amount, even though his only way to access that money is to pay taxes anyway. But we don't like how rich he is, so we're going to find a way to extract more from that, even though we're not doing anything with that tax money anyway.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Well, you're saying authoritarian state, Joe. Yeah, but
That's that pendulum swing, though. I don't know. I don't know that you necessarily realize that you're talking about an authoritarian state.
Yeah.
Like, we're going in that direction of an authoritarian state. So maybe you just don't like the exact policies. You think, well, my authoritarianism will work better. But I think the solution is just freedom and consequences for actions. Like, I think you should be allowed to liquefy all your assets, pull out as much debt as possible, and go bet it all on green on the roulette table.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you lose, and you're fucked and you can't pay that back, well, there's going to be consequences, right? The state isn't going to step in and save you in that scenario. And maybe you're going to have to like actually go to jail now because, we're like, okay, well, you have outstanding debts or whatever. Maybe make that a more serious crime than it is, to where maybe you do have to serve time as an alternative to paying back some of that debt if it gets to a certain point or gets so bad, because you think about it like you're just a drain on the system.
Yeah.
Get you out of the system. But a big part of the problem right now is there's no consequences to these actions.
That's the problem with everything. Honestly, we're soft on everything.
And freedom to fuck up, but have consequences. I think, a lot of things will change. You'd have a lot less degeneracy. Yeah.
Well, you look at like theft. Like they basically took the consequences away from people on theft in so many different states.
Even with like severe drug addictions.
That too. Yeah.
Like people are, I guarantee you there are people who look at it as like, well, I live on the street and everything, but they're not going to let me starve. Right. And if I can't buy the drugs, they're like clinics where I can go and get it for free. So they can live that lifestyle. Like, fuck it, I can just do this. I can just be this way. Whereas if they had to think, well, fuck, okay, if I actually let this get too bad, then I might not eat, and I might starve to death, live out here on the street starving to death. Then they might think twice, and they might be like, okay, maybe it won't get that bad before they think I maybe need to course correct.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and to your point, Joe, like I understand what you're saying because you're looking at the way things are right now, what we do.
But that's the authoritarian state stepping in and doing this stuff.
So what I'm saying, if you're going to suggest this type of radical change to something that's already existing, then why not apply the radical change the other way and say, look, listen, like some of the suggestions I said earlier, maybe we don't allow any, what do you call it? Any write-offs on, all kinds of things like travel and all that kind of stuff. But we say, hey, heck, if you are a professional gambler and you go and lose all your money, there is no safety net for you.
Yeah, you're not going to fall into a daddy government, to bail you out.
Yeah.
Like, think about what you're doing before you do it. Like, risk what you can lose kind of situation.
Yeah. And I mean, like the way to sort of get around the system, the way the system is set up now is the idea that someone is stating they're a professional gambler. So that they are a professional gambler. And so you say, look, you've lost all your money now and you need, EI or welfare or whatever. You don't have it. It's not for you. Because you've decided that's the type of lifestyle you want to go get a job or figure it out for yourself.
And that stuff should be reserved for people who like lose their job or are hurt and can't work and stuff like that. Or they're between jobs in a weird market where, they didn't lose their job because they sucked. They lost their job because the company was making changes or downsizing or whatever. And so that EI should be there to protect those people. Whereas, and so like what I say, what happens to those people that lose everything? They have nothing.
Yeah.
They have zero. They start over at zero. That's what should happen to them. They shouldn't start over with a paycheck funded by taxpayer dollars. Right. They shouldn't be bailed out. No, if they lose their house, they lose their house. If they have to, go to zero, then they're at zero. They got to go back to work and they got to find a way to claw back if they're going to do that.
We should have a tiered system. We should have a system that's set up to protect the people that are doing jobs that are key for infrastructure and societal progress. But if you have jobs like if you've decided you want to be,
should be Joe.
What's that? Yeah. Well, one of us should be in charge, obviously.
Well, this one.
but jobs that you pick like that, like it's like you're mentioning there, hookers and weed and things. Well, I mean, weed has a luxury tax essentially on it. But if you want to have jobs that don't help society in any way, you want to be an OnlyFans model, and that's your thing. But for whatever reason, you had a bad year. Maybe you ate too many bonbons and your butt looks like shit and nobody wants to look at it anymore. Well, fuck you. Too bad. You're on your own now. There's no social fucking safety net for you. But if you're a doctor or nurse or or a construction worker or something or
you make the
something
world go around.
Yeah, you're part of you making the world go around in the system. Even if you're like you're a cook or something, Joe. Like you're still like you're doing something that's making the system work. Then there is a safety net for that. But the rest of it, you'd almost have like remember when you were in high school and you had compulsory courses and you had elective courses. You could elect to take these fucking shit ones, and they didn't mean anything, but you needed a certain amount of elective and you needed a certain amount of compulsory. Well, the compulsory would be the jobs that we need. The people that are taking care of the infrastructure, the people that are taking care of our social systems and all that. Those are the ones that we take care of. But the gamblers and the fucking hookers and all that shit, well, you're on your own. Fuck off. That's what you want to do. But, but we also don't we're not going to hamstring them either, where we say, look, you can't do this because we're now going to tax you on dollars you didn't make. That's stupid. That's completely stupid. That doesn't make any sense to me at all, because you're dealing it's the same idea that we've talked about with someone like Elon Musk. He has, he's worth $300 billion in stock. It's not realized. You can't tax him on $300 billion of unrealized.
Sell it.
Right.
Because if as soon as those orders go through, the price is going to tank.
He's tanking
By
it.
the time he's 100% out, that $300 billion might be less than $50 billion.
Yeah.
It's going to have such a catastrophic. Everybody's going to rush out. He might not even be able to sell all of it.
Yeah. So there are ways to get around that. Like guys that are playing these tax games with the system, and they're then fix the system. Like Trump said it the one time. He was like, you're worried about
debate with Hillary.
Yeah, exactly. He said, well, then fix the tax code. He goes, you won't, because it helps your friends too.
You and your friends are using it.
But there's so many ways to do it. But this idea that we're gonna, that it's okay to go after somebody like gamblers and stuff like that, or doing it professionally
just because you don't like
because maybe you don't like it or something.
And I understand not liking it, especially I understand not wanting to do it yourself.
Sure.
Or seeing what it can do to certain kinds of people and being like, that's ugly.
Yeah.
But I personally, I believe in freedom. I believe you should have the right to go down that path if you want to go down that path. And I would just say, let's put up signs that say, hey, there's risk here. Maybe don't do that, or really think about it before you do it.
Well, they did with smoking, right? If you look at smoking, look at a pack of cigarettes now. It's the ugliest, most grotesque shit you'll ever see on anything. Somebody's mouth is rotted out of their face, and that's on your cigarette package. It's a deterrent for kids. It's a deterrent for certain people that are a little bit more afraid. You can do that with gambling. You can do that with stuff. But again, at the end of the day, I don't think you should take away someone's freedoms to do something because you think that's a completely slippery slope for me anyway. I think it's like going against people that, maybe either you're religious or you're not religious. You're like, no, everybody has to be religious, or everybody has to not be religious, because that's the way I think. So there's so many ways that this slides down into a bad, bad outcome. We're saying if you want to do it, then do it. Businesses lose money and still have to pay taxes. Why should they be treated differently? Sorry, what do you mean? Why should businesses be treated differently, or people?
Businesses don't. If they lose money, they don't pay taxes.
No. I mean, you pay corporate taxes on income
and you pay your taxes quarterly usually if the cash flows enough. So you could find yourself overpaying in taxes by the end of the year, but then typically that gets written off for the next years. Yeah.
No, I mean, so I run a business, and I mean, I pay once a year, but I don't show a loss. I pay income tax, right? So it's, but if I had to pay income taxes somehow on money that wasn't realized to me, I mean, that's bullshit. I mean, it would just make me not want to ever really declare it. I would try and hide everything I possibly could. I paid my fair share of taxes. So I don't know. I just, I think, especially if you're employing someone too, there's another thing where you're adding to societal, to the society. Now, if you're a gambler, you're not adding anything. But again, you should.
That's why it should be taxed. And maybe you can have an argument if you want to say you can't write off your $600 a night room at the casino where you had room service and all these amenities. Maybe you can't write that off. Maybe you can only write off $100 a night in travel expenses.
Yeah.
And that might make more sense and be a little bit more fair if you consider it. But the big thing is, like he just says, it's like stumping for the alphabet people. It's not like stumping for the alphabet people in that this is a certain group of people are having basically having money stolen from them, like money that is their money that they've already earned and paid taxes on, that they're gonna have to pay it back because they chose to do something that you might not have.
But it's just
it's not like saying everybody else now has to, bend to their whims. It's just, how about we don't steal from people?
now, okay, if you made the argument that you said that you're saying that you want there to be more taxes for gamblers, and you said, okay, if the median tax in Canada is disgusting high, but let's just say the median tax is 30%, for example. If you're saying, okay, well, I think gamblers, because it's a worse thing, there should be a basically a luxury tax on top of that, so their mean tax should be 40 or 50%. I could see that
Or
argument.
maybe there's a flat rate that your gambling winnings are taxed at 50%.
Sure.
Whether you made $100 or you made $100.
Yeah, and I can get behind that. Like I can understand that
There's
argument.
a conversation to be had.
Yeah,
in that.
but if you're telling me that, using Galfon's idea there of, you make $2.1 million in tournament winnings, and you lost $2 million, but you're now responsible for taxes on $1.8 million. So now the $100,000 that you made becomes $300,000 for which you have to pay taxes on.
You pretty much are going to have to pay that whole $100,000.
You have to pay the whole 100. Yeah, it's gone. So you didn't make any money.
I don't know what the tax rate are, but you might technically owe more.
You might.
So
Yeah.
now you're dipping into your savings, and all the money you made, you were taxed at 100% of your income that year plus your savings. So, so it's like, I think that's wrong no matter how you handle it.
It's just,
I think you should be able.
Yeah, it just destroys an industry. I mean, I just don't know why you go after that industry so much, because
I don't like the glorifying of it. I feel weird about all the gambling ads that we have.
Sure,
now.
yeah.
They've gotten bad over the last 5 years here.
Mm-hmm.
Sports betting and everything is crazy, but you should be able to do it. Like, put warning labels on it like they do with cigarettes. On the gambling app, there's a picture of a guy who lost his house and his family, just like they have like the cancer pictures on cigarette cartons. Like, I don't know, something like that. I don't care, but
or like we were saying, if you do bust completely, if you try and seek any kind of help whatsoever, you basically are in trouble. Like, you're basically, I would say, then they do something like you say, all right, well, if you're coming for a social handout, well, we're going to put you to work. We got lots of trenches to dig and bridges to build and shit like that. That's what you're going to do, and you're going to do it at a reduction. I
was saying this just the other day. We were talking about, like, if we potentially had a system, like a contract-based system, where like you go to the government and you can like find a contract to sign up for, where at the end of it you're going to have a certain amount of money. So you're going to figure out how much money do you want or how much money do you need, and you're going to do it. So like, okay, well, for 5 years you're going to do this job in this place, and at the end of it, like, I don't know, maybe your accommodations plus a little spending money is taken care of, but you're not going to live well, but you're going to be comfortable. You're going to have a place to sleep. You maybe have like a PlayStation stuff. You're going to eat. And then at the end of it, once you complete the contract, you'll get paid out this sum.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have that, whatever it is, right? If it's a couple $100,000 for, a few years of doing a hard job, and then you go and you do that, and then you have something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just talked about this the other day. I think it's a great idea. I think we could get people set up. I'm not sure, Joe, why you're so against gambling.
Because he doesn't like gambling, right? So it's like,
no, but why don't you
a
like
lot of
gambling
people
so much?
seem
It's
to
almost
be
like you
like
have a I don't know, it's like something, a
vendetta.
personal thing against it. Like, I play poker, he plays poker. I like playing poker. I'm not a professional. I did consider going professional when I was young, in my 20s.
And then you also have a different conversation about like what constitutes gambling, because the definition isn't clearly defined. The definition is just putting money to risk.
Well, wasn't Tim talking about that? We were saying like a Pokemon tournament or something like that.
Yeah,
It's the same thing. Like,
well, he's talking about, like, in the stock market.
Right.
Are you gambling when you buy stocks? You could gamble in the stock market, right? There's obviously a difference between buying that pink slip and buying the S&P 500, but is that gambling? Definitionally, it is. It fits the definition. But I think when people talk about gambling, they invoke casino games. And then you get stuff like poker, where it's like, is poker gambling? It's not really gambling. It's more of a skill game.
Like, I understand the attack on the casinos. Like I can
Sure,
understand that
the
because the
predatory,
casinos is
shitty
predatory and shit.
tactics, yeah.
But like when you're doing this, what they're doing here isn't an attack on the casinos. It's an attack on the individual gambler, the individual professional poker player, the individual sports bettor, all these different things. You know, and the sports betting stuff, that again, you're getting into, you know, like the casino and you know, and that kind of thing. But where they're making a ton of money at it, and bookies and all that. But professional poker players, it's like it's a whole different thing, you know, or professional backgammon players and
some of these games are
all these different games.
It's like what. So I think that how I would define gamble is you're invoking less than 50% odds.
Yeah.
You're invoking a situation where your odds are like 49.5% at best.
Yeah.
Or lower. And then when you get above 50%, I think that
it's statistically not gambling anymore.
That's something else.
Yeah. Gambling ruined. There you go. Here it is, right here. Gambling ruined my family. My uncle borrowed $5,000 from me and my mom to save his house because of his gaming, and he hid it from his wife. My aunt believes her husband when she asked when paying it back or start paying it back. Okay, well, I get it, man.
That's a people issue.
That sucks. That sucks. Honestly, that sucks for you, man. And that's rough. I'm sorry that you have a personal thing that was shit. You know what? Honestly, I do too. My dad was a fucking pathetic gambler. My dad was brutal. I have stories of my dad back. My mom would tell them when they were alive that they'd go to Vegas and he would, at the time, I don't know, he'd have like maybe like 10 grand or 20 grand or something. He'd give most of it to my mom and he'd be like, don't give it to me, no matter what. He'd take $5,000, go play on the craps table, lose it in like 15 minutes, and threaten to kill my mom to get the money. So she'd have to give him the rest of the money. So yeah, and you know, there's other stories too where my dad was like, you know, very wealthy and then blew it all gambling, and so yeah, it can crush you, but this isn't really going after that. That's where like the distinction isn't being made. That this part of the bill isn't going after.
If you want to go after the casinos, make it so that they can't, they need to have windows in the rooms. They can't make it kind of like dark. They can't, maybe there's certain flashing lights that you can't use. You have to have a clock everywhere, visible from all point. You have to have the time visible.
Or the number one thing, you go to a bar, they have a basically responsibility to make sure they're not giving you too much booze. You're sitting there, and if they realize they've overserved you, they can get in trouble. So the same thing with the casino. If they watch, they go, okay, he's been to the cage 3 times. He's like, maybe they have to do like when you invest money, you have to do what's called a KYC, and know your client. And what it says is in that know your client, you have to it's all risk tolerance and all that kind of stuff. So if I'm risk adverse, then you can't put me in very high risk stuff. You'll know what my income is. You'll know what my disposable income is, all that. So you can't invest a bunch of my money in shit that will potentially, that's, higher risk or whatever. The same thing could be done at the casinos, where you go into the casino, you have to do a quick little questionnaire, say how much you make, it's disclosed how much you make and all this kind of stuff. And then they go, okay, well, you're limited essentially to this much gambling. You can't gamble more than that. And if you were to, then you have to have some kind of like special permission to say, I have this extra amount of money that I want to gamble, and be able to sign off on it or something. So it takes away the predatory practices of the casinos. But this whole thing, like I keep going back to, this is about individual professional gamblers. And it's not even just the recreational gamblers. This is the professional ones that are declaring income on their, here in Canada on your whatever, your whatever it'd be, T1 or something like that here. I'm not sure in the States what it is. But so this is a different kind of attack. But I see where you're coming from, Joe, and I agree with you to a certain degree, but I think this is the wrong way to go about it.
I err on freedom.
Yeah, I always err on the side of freedom. I don't like the idea of people.
I don't like even what you said, like I'll disclose everything. I don't think you should have to do that. I think if anything, it should just be that the casino should have a response similar to a bar. You don't have to fill out a form at a bar to be like, well, I drink this much or whatever.
But it's evident when you walk in. They have
right, but that's the thing, right? So you walk into the casino with $1,000, and by the third time you go back to the ATM, and you've pulled out $1,000 each time, that's when someone needs to step in and be like, okay, you might be over what you should have.
What if you then
lost
say to
in.
him, look, I make $1,000 an hour. This is nothing.
Then you wouldn't walk in with just $1,000.
But what if you did?
Well, then
that's what I'm saying.
Then they
like,
cut you off because they're making a judgment. If you want to gamble
okay,
more, then you walk
then
in with
there's
50,000,
just two different ways to
whatever.
get to the same thing. The reason why I'm saying the whole KYC type thing or whatever would be that you can now set sort of the limits. So it wouldn't just be an arbitrary limit where you walk in with $1,000 like that, but you're worth 10 million and that 1,000 means nothing to you. But I walk in with 1,000 and I make 25,000 a year, right? They don't know that arbitrarily. They can err on the low side to be like, okay, we're just gonna, err on the side of caution on everybody, but then that takes away your freedom as a big earner to be able to go in there and gamble your money. So there I don't know. There's no right answer this way. I think you would have to kind of just sit down and really figure it out.
I think the right answer is just more on the focus on the predatory stuff, like the big things that they do. Right?
I agree with that for
the big
sure.
things that they do. There's no windows. They keep it kind of dark, flashing lights. There's no clock anywhere. Stuff like that. Like maybe you're not allowed to do that anymore. Maybe the casinos need to have those things because they like scientifically figured out that just makes people more susceptible to do that.
Yeah. I think you're letting your personal disdain for gambling get in the way of like a common sense judgment on everyone, essentially. Like I also, do I think meth and heroin are good? No.
I think they're worse for being illegal.
Yeah.
Right.
I think they should be illegal the same way.
About it going underground, I think it's.
Yeah, I know you do that. You do that every time.
When gambling going underground is the same thing as meth and heroin being illegal, whereas now you can play poker, win a bunch of money, and you're not going to have any issues. You go to the cage, you get paid.
Yeah.
And you walk out with the cash, and if it's a lot of cash, you walk out with like armed security. Most casinos will do. I think they have to do it if it's a certain amount. But now you go into an underground poker game, you win some money.
Yeah.
Against the wrong guy who's not too happy about it. Him and his buddies don't want to pay you. So
your last thing you said there, freedom versus morality. I'll always choose freedom because my morality is different than your morality.
My morality revolves around freedom and free choice.
Like,
I think you should be allowed to make bad choices.
There are certain things that you cannot do 100% because I can't do a thing that absolutely negatively affects you primarily. You know what I mean? But if I want to gamble my money, that's up to me. So if you're telling me I can't now, the government's going to step in and make me pay money that I didn't make. That's silly to me. It just makes zero sense to me. So I don't know how this argument ever wins on anybody. Now, if you just want to make gambling illegal altogether, that would be a different topic, I guess. But if that's not your position to say that gambling should be illegal, I think then this gets thrown out. This whole idea of we're gonna tax you on hypothetical non-earnings, like it's fake money. It makes zero sense to me. It just doesn't. You might as well say it's illegal. Then at least it makes more sense to me.
State.
Yeah, that's it. Church state.
Which church though?
Like I say the same thing about like drugs. I'm like I don't think you make them legal, but I think you take away the criminality of it. Where it becomes criminal is when you're on the street, you're doing shit in public, like drinking. You can't drink in public. You can't drink on the street. You can't be drunk and disorderly. You shouldn't be able to be, high and disorderly. You shouldn't have a fucking tent set up on the sidewalk. These are silly. It's common sense.
It's just safer for everybody. If you can walk into the store and get the thing that you want, you get it. It's clean. It's good. So you could do it.
And you do it in your house. If you do it in your house and you're not a problem to anybody, I don't see why it's anybody's. Like unless you've got kids or animals or something like that you're
even
caring
then,
for.
They'll do that, right?
Yeah.
You can drink alcohol at home. Yeah. But if there's a drunk in the house and there's kids and the neighbors call, like you do get the eye of the government. They're gonna poke in and see, okay, well, how bad is this situation? And
you can
those kids be there.
You could log this stuff so well. You could log the sale of booze. You could log the sale of drugs. You can log all this stuff so well. We have the ability to basically soft police this. And what I mean by that is we collect all the information until it's almost like building a case. If there's never a reason to use it, you don't use it. A dash cam collects information constantly about your driving. The new cars now are collecting information all the time about how you drive. You're driving things. The problem is that insurance companies may use that against you for your insurance policy premiums and things like that. But now if you're collecting it just to have it in case some shit happens, then you go, okay, this fucker got into a real bad car accident. He bought alcohol this time period. He got in the car. He was drunk. Like, you used all that information to prosecute him after the fact. I'm okay with that because it's almost like we're protecting everyone without actually acting on it. Now, the problem with that kind of stuff is then
it's never going to be used.
But someone can use it nefariously, right?
It's always going to be used malevolently, like how the insurance used it. You nailed it perfectly. That's just how it's going to be used.
Yeah.
They're going to use it for jobs, vetting for jobs at some point or something, or whether or not you get approved for the loan. Oh, well, 2 years ago, we see you spent $200 on cocaine.
Yeah.
So we're not going to give you that loan. Well, what do you mean? It was one time we had a weekend and that was it. Nah.
Yeah. And Joe, you saying that sounds kind of authoritarian. I agree with you. And that's why I agree with your position to some degree. I just don't think that we can. I think we kind of have to pick and choose when we're going to do that kind of stuff. Like for example, if you had a bunch of police drones all over the highway, right? And it's watching for speeding, let's say. Someone's speeding. Okay, yeah, you're technically breaking the law. Are they actually 100% hurting someone? No, not really. Especially if you're just speeding, you're just in the left lane and everyone's doing 140 and you're just following. You're not hurting anyone. Now, if you're jumping lanes and doing all kinds of shit, that's a problem. Maybe now that should trigger an action. Or if you are speeding and you get into an accident, now we're able to look back and say, no, while you were fucking driving, you were doing 150 miles an hour or whatever, right? You were speeding like crazy and you got into this accident. That's probably part of the cause. Like, I had an accident happen with me where a guy hit me and I was in the wrong because I was making a left and I didn't secure the left, and he hit me probably doing 100 kilometers an hour for you guys, whatever, 60 miles or 65 miles an hour. And he fucking totaled my work truck at the time. And I explained to the cop, I said, he couldn't have done the damage he did if he was not like excessively speeding. And he agreed with me. He said, you're right, but I can't prove it. Because what I can prove is you didn't make the turn correctly. That's all I can prove. Now, if you had the information to be able to like basically go back and, pop up something and say, yeah, he was doing 103 kilometers an hour. Now we can charge him for something. So I believe in that kind of thing. When you did something wrong, we should have the proof to be able to prove that you did the wrong thing. And knowing that we have that would keep a lot of people in line, because people would go, oh, if I do a thing and I can't just get away with it now. It's like cameras and stuff. It's like the Home Depot. We talked about it the other day. The Home Depot doesn't stop people for stealing. They build cases. So then you come back in.
The big stores do that.
Yeah, they'll build a case on you.
First.
Yeah.
Start doing that.
And that's the way they get you. And then they get you later. But a lot of people know that now. So it is a deterrent. Anyways, I'm digressing completely on this. I just really think that this attack on professional gamblers is not doing anything
It's not
productive.
just an attack on professional gamblers. It's anybody who gambles.
Yeah.
You go away for a weekend and
It's just another step towards stopping some of our freedoms.
Technically, if you go away for a weekend and you take $1,000 to the casino and you're like, all right, we got $1,000 we're going to play with. You walk away with $1,000, but you played a bunch of games. You owe taxes now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Again, that's your position. I just think, if you don't think it, I don't think being a hooker should be a profession. I don't think OnlyFans models should be a profession, but it is, and they're making money and they're paying taxes. And I just don't think that they should be hamstringed in a way that that you're taking.
I only agree with like the moral hamstringing, like the shame.
Shame. Oh yeah, shame is
right. Like we're gonna look at you differently when we find out that you do that.
Yeah.
Okay? We're gonna judge you that you do that. Okay.
There should be a healthy amount of shame.
We're not gonna stop you.
Yeah.
But You should be ashamed.
Yeah. There should be a healthy amount of shame for people that do anything that is morally ambiguous, at least. If I've heard anything in life, it's what I think doesn't matter. Well, yeah, true. We're on a podcast just spewing out what we think. And 5 viewers are watching, so I don't think it matters much either. Make shame great again. yeah, I agree. All right, let's get into the last thing and let's kind of blast through this last thing. That was the thing we wanted to talk about the most. But let's plop this up over here. So Tim Pool the other day, they were talking about this idea. Whatever, I don't know if it's an idea, if it's an accusation, it's a conspiracy theory, whatever it is, that the Trump administration essentially is dumping people out of planes in other countries, essentially.
In Europe.
In Europe, yeah. I think it's stupid, but let's see. We're gonna play this clip and we'll kind of riff on it a little bit. It's 11 minutes, so I'm not gonna play the whole thing. We'll just pick an arbitrary part to stop on.
Look at this one from Not the Bee. The newest left-wing conspiracy is that Trump is throwing migrants off planes into the ocean for real. When I for my noon morning show, I guess my noon show, I guess you can't even call it morning show. This was the lead, and the first comment that pops up was someone saying, "Is this clickbait?" To which someone responded, "Yes, it is."
I love the picture.
First of all, clickbait, I'm going to say it again for those in the back, is when you leave information out of the title. So you'd say something like, "This celebrity did the most disgusting thing. Wow." That's clickbait. This is an actual story that is so insane, people didn't believe it. They thought I was making something up to get them to click on it. That's not correct. There are millions of views on these TikToks where people are making this
Guys,
claim.
they're throwing the deportees out of the planes and into the ocean. No, this is not a drill. No, this is not fear-mongering. They're shackling people, flying out into open ocean and throwing them out. Okay? The flight patterns, there's people tracking
It's all
them
not true.
on this app.
All fake.
The flights going out with the
Okay. So
I don't know.
Videos of planes taking off from Afghanistan during the pullout.
check this out. This is another post. ICE plane leaves for Sudan. Sudan says ICE plane never arrives. ICE plane arrives back empty. Shackled bodies wash up on the beach of Majorca, downstream of a U.S. regime airbase. Also, all fake. The real story was that Trump was flying migrants to South Sudan. A court said he violated their order. They stopped in Djibouti where they were placed in holding and then did not move. Sudan then says, "Where's the plane that's supposed to arrive?" It was in Djibouti because the court said stop. Trump then won the rights to do it. So it may be that eventually they then will bring those migrants to South Sudan. Crazy leftists then say, aha, this proves it. I don't know if I don't know if there's some of these other ones.
All these pictures with like Trump in the plane, they should have put Trump in like a Pinochet costume.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I mean, couldn't he have been dumping them like near Alligator Alcatraz?
That's what they claimed.
Okay.
One of the flight paths they posted was from Costa Rica over the Pacific and then back to Costa Rica. And I'm like, my dude, we don't have migrants in Costa Rica, and the bodies washed up in the Mediterranean, which is from the Atlantic. So they're literally just taking random things. There's one dude who's got 200,000 likes and 7,000 comments on TikTok, indicating probably 1 million plus views. And he goes, "I have no reason to connect these stories." And then it shows 5 shackled bodies wash up on beach. And then it shows Trump shackles migrants. And he goes, "But we cannot be naive." And I'm like, oh boy.
Oh, yeah, you can.
So,
Yes, you can.
I mean, this is the natural outcome of independent media becoming a thing, is that people may turn to independent media like this, but people also are turning to TikTokers to get their news and their information. So
I agree. And I think it's for the component is like that first woman in this video. Let me ask you, Brett. She talks about 2 things. The first of which is Trump throwing migrants out of a plane. What do you think the second thing she brings up is?
have we not?
Sharks.
Was it?
Sharks.
Transgenderism?
That is actually one of the things that you saw me talking about it. One guy says this is shark-infested waters.
Oh, okay.
So they've graduated. But no. She goes on and starts talking about how she's not getting enough followers. and shares from talking about this, which clearly means she's being shadow banned.
I think this is connected to the 50th anniversary of Jaws, which just came. This would be great promotion for the 50th anniversary steelbook for Jaws.
It is. One of the videos is a guy saying not only are the reports the planes are going out there, it's like one guy's been begging people to hear the story, saying please, because they're throwing his like the people he knew, these migrants, out of the plane, but these are also shark infested waters.
Well, I guess
let's stop there. Should we just play this whole 11-minute video? I don't know what to say. I think they like this. I think they like this. They throw these things out. They create these little conspiracy theories. People will believe it. A bunch of people will believe it. By the time, truthful information comes out, it doesn't matter. It's like the whole we use it all the time. Good people on both sides comment. It's like first we got it out there. We said a thing. A bunch of people saw it on TikTok. A bunch of people fucking made videos on TikTok. They got hundreds of thousands of views. So maybe made a little bit of money. And now unsay it. Put that fucking bullshit genie back in the bottle. Can't. So the stupid people are going to believe it. And the problem is when you hear something like that and you go, this is, intelligent people look at it and go, this is fucking retarded. That's not happening. And we don't even need to really fact check it. But these other people, when they go to fact check it, they get more of the bullshit. They get more of their echo chamber shit. Somebody's saying something. Oh yeah, look at this evidence with this. They go, oh wow, he did say something about shackling people, and there were shackled people. Oh, that's got to be it. So it's stupid. I don't know. What do you got to say about it?
I think people are getting stupid.
Yeah, I think that's probably the simplest way to say it. People are just getting dumber. And
some weird's going on.
Are you saying that, Joe? Oh, you like the country name Djibouti? So did I. I used to do that with terrorists here during the Independence War. Well, fucking terrorists. Screw them terrorists. Yeah, overall, the problem with the internet is it really does put a big spotlight on the stupid, because they'll see something like that and they go, yeah. And then all the stupid people go to that. And then the stupid people want to say something to people that aren't stupid. And, if you're borderline stupid, you're probably going to believe some of this stupid shit.
Fluoride in the water.
Yeah, there you go. Like, how many times have you heard a thing and you've gone, that's not real. And every once in a while you go, oh fuck, it is real. Like you do enough vetting on it, you go, yeah, well, that is real. But it's the stupid people won't vet a thing. They just hear a thing one time and they go, that's what's happening. So anyways. All right. Well, that's it's sad. It's sad people are dumb. More we depend on tech, the dumber we get. Yeah, I agree. Yep. Well, the problem is there's just so much information now, and there's no credible. Like there are credible sources, but there are so many non-credible sources that people just get that information anywhere. And then if they decide they don't like, this is something actually that happens. People will decide they don't like a person because they're too credible. Like somebody will say something like, and it's like, it's clearly completely framed in common sense and morality and all these kinds of things, and people go, that doesn't make me feel good. I don't like that. No, I don't like what you said there. Like, for example, if you get into like transgender thing, you're saying old men that are deciding they want to be little girls or women shouldn't be going into female change rooms or female washrooms or anything. But it's like, oh, you can't say that. That's not nice to say. Well, so now I hate that guy. I hate that guy for saying that, because that wasn't nice to say. It's fucking stupid. It used to be like used to be like me, or with me, where you need double digit concussions to be dumb. Now you just need to look at your phone. Yeah. Well, yep. It's that's true. Just go on TikTok for a little while and let the algorithm take you to the dark side, because it will. You just have to watch enough stupid shit, and you will be stuck watching stupid shit. All right, let's call it. I know Mr. Tyler here is just dying to go play Dune, and it is 20 to 8 right now. So you've only got maybe like 10 minutes to play before you have to go to bed. He goes to bed really early. He's got to get his 10 hours of beauty sleep. All right, well, thanks again, Robert, Joe. Thanks for coming in. Thanks, number 1, Robert, and number 2, Joe.
Labeled now.
you guys are gonna be jockeying for position every week. We hamstringed you this week, Joe. Sorry, buddy. I asked Tyler. I actually said we can't start too early because that'll screw over Joe. I did say that, right?
You did say that.
I did say that.
To start early.
And then I decided to start early. Well, I knew he was hurting to play Dune, and I know if I was playing it, then I would want to. Which I'm still considering getting a gaming PC so I can play it. Every time I visit North America, the decline is noticeable. Yeah, well, yeah. Tyler's Mr. Grumpy Pants. Yes, he is. But thanks, guys. Thanks for being with us. Awesome, always. Appreciate you jumping in the comments, talking to us. It makes it a lot more fun for us. And yeah, you can come on, buddy.
Just bring me on.
You just have to make the drive all the way over to where we are, which I would tell you quietly. No one else. I'm not going to dox myself. You just know where we're.
He's in Detroit. He's saying he's not crazy far.
Yeah, I know. I've made that drive. I've made that drive. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so we're out of here. Thanks again for watching. If you're not yet a subscriber to the channel, do subscribe to the channell. That's the best way to support the channel. And like I said, let us know that this channel is not dead because 2 new subscribers. Thank you to the new subscribers. Thank you for jumping on board with us. If you've missed any part of this podcast, you don't want to watch it again, you can check to see if maybe I might leave some videos during the week. I don't know. I might. This week I'll probably do one at least. So you can check for that between Tuesday and Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Obviously share, comment on that. It's the best way to help us with the channel and help the algorithm let it know that you like the channel and they should push it more.
We could probably do an episode with getting Joe on Discord.
Oh yeah, we could do that. Yeah, well, that's him. He has to figure that out. He's the tech guy. I'm useless with that kind of stuff. But yeah, you figure that out. We'll get Joe on Discord. Even Robert, if you want in, buddy, you can get on there. And we can make it more of an interactive thing. But yeah, so let's make that happen. But thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us, guys. We'll see you next week, 7 o'clock Eastern, maybe earlier. Probably not. But next Monday. So till then, take care. We'll see you.